Hi, my name is Courtney Walker, and I focused on conflict management and the culture approach when watching the movie Remember the Titans. Now, Remember the Titans is full of conflict. You have a school that in 1971 was told by the federal government that they were going to be integrated, which meant that it was no longer a white-only school. You were now allowed to have African Americans reside and go to school there. So that meant that you now had African Americans who were once their own football team have to now join in with the white team that was previously there. Now they ended up replacing Yost, the original coach at TC Williams, for Herman Boone. Boone was a head coach somewhere else, but it was an all-black school. So they expected Yost to be the assistant coach, which he initially refused. However, he negotiated with Herman Boone and got on as an assistant coach along with his previous assistant coach, Tyrell. So he ended up staying for the year, but there was still a conflict with the players. You had the white students from the year before who felt that they should still have their positions, that they had a right to that. And Boone told them that the best player will play. So it was hard to get the two teams to work together. Boone had to pair, one white player with a black player and had to force them to kind of get to know each other. And through communication, the team finally got to know each other, became friends, but then when they left camp, they had to go back into the real world where they dealt with everyone else's beliefs and all of that, which is part of their culture. And culture differs within the school, within the town, and just it differs in each family. You have Gary Bertier's mother who refuses to let Gary go play basketball with his friend Julius because he was black. And later in the movie, Julius becomes a very big member of their family. When Gary Bertier gets in his car wreck at the end of the movie, Julius is labeled family so that he can go in there and see him. And Gary Bertier and Julius Campbell had a relationship that lasted until Gary died in another wreck years later, and everyone attended the funeral. Now, there's no easy way necessarily to solve either of these issues. Culture, I believe, gets changed and the view changes based on such things like conflict. When you have conflict and you have communication and people deal with it through negotiating or bargaining or having a third party, it changes the way people view things. Culture is ambiguous. It's extremely difficult to necessarily define. Since the culture differs between kind of who you interact with and the places you interact at, it's incredibly difficult. And I think the biggest thing is communication is the problem solver for all of it. For conflict, you've got negotiating, which is usually when if one person gives up something, they expect the other one to give up something to make it to the same or similar goal. You had Julius and Gary decide to talk to each other's specific race to get them to all work together. It didn't matter which position you played, you needed to do what that position's supposed to do. So if you had to block someone, it didn't matter if you're blocking to protect an African American or a white, you were doing it as to protect your team member. And so it's just constantly changing in communication, and once they got to know each other and became friends, the culture changed, their beliefs. They no longer believed that, the African Americans needed to be separated. They became friends, they became family, and they became a group. So that's why Sunshine wanted to take his friends into that restaurant and eat with them. So it's communication and culture and conflict are all intertwined. You have to have all of them to grow.